Well, good morning, guys and gals, and welcome to today's episode of Miyagi Mornings. Today I want to talk to you, as my neighbor's little chihuahua has to sound off over there. I want to talk to you guys about the importance of doing business and trade locally. And I think this is something that we intrinsically know, but we don't do. And I think we should do so more. And I have quite a few things for you to think about today, because Miyagi Mornings, above all things, is supposed to make you think. I hope that people that tune into this understand, like, even though I'm very forceful and very confident in what I tell you, because I try to talk about things that I know, not things that I don't know. And when I'm not talking about something I'm sure of, I try to be clear on it. It doesn't mean I'm right, and I don't think I'm always right. And my goal with these little morning sessions is to get you to think for yourself and use the information I give you in that thinking process, not simply adopt it and make it part of your code or whatever. So there's a lot of thought that goes into this one. So I want to start out with something that's a little more familiar to people than buy local, do business local, what have you. Because if you think about it, if you go down to Albertsons and Albertsons is in your neighborhood, then you're doing business locally, aren't you? I mean, the people that are in there, they live right next door to you. They're your neighbors. They have a job. You're doing business locally. But it's not what I'm talking about, and I think you guys know that, and it's not the same. It's not the same as Bill down the road has a little family grocery store that also employs people. His prices are a little higher, but he's much more local because his money's going to stay, right? His money is going to stay in your economy. Where when you go to Albertsons, the money that gets paid to the employee stays in the economy, but the money that goes into the corporate coffers, the profit, leaves your economy because Albertsons is not headquartered where you are. So this leads to the concept of made in the USA, if you're an American citizen anyway, right? And unions are very proud of that label, and we should all buy stuff made in the USA. But have you ever thought about why? I mean, the common reason is, well, it gives jobs, right? It makes sure that Americans have good jobs. Not necessarily. It doesn't necessarily negatively impact employment in the United States if we have importation. Do you understand? I mean, really, if you right now tally up the number of Americans who are employed with decent to good paying jobs, whose income is tied directly to the importation of product from outside the country, it's a massive number. It may be, and it could be a dangerous thing too, it may be at this point a larger number of well-employed people are employed. And I mean, you got to think about it. Even a lot of companies that think of themselves as American companies, they do their manufacturing outside the United States. So if you look at Apple, right, there's a lot of well-paid jobs in Apple, and if it wasn't for Chinese labor making iPhones like the one I'm shooting this on, a lot of those people maybe wouldn't be employed. An iPhone might cost $5,000 instead of $1,000. Who knows? So it's not a direct impact on employment necessarily. It can be, but not necessarily. But there is a fundamental fact when you buy something from another country that will not change, and that is a portion of your national wealth leaves. We call that a trade deficit. If we could put in numbers that make sense to people. So if we had a little country of Jakistan, and then Charliestan was over here, and I export $1,000 a year to Charliestan, and Charlie exports to me $5,000 in value, it goes out, I have a negative $4,000. That's a trade deficit. So Charlie's nation, Charliestan, has profited in wealth accumulation by $4,000. It's not about the company's profit. That's about the money has now moved into their economy, and it's left mine. And now if I'm balancing with trade with other nations that I don't have deficits with, that's better, right? But I'm still exporting a significant portion of my national wealth from Jakistan, right? So now, let's just stop doing this at a national level and think about it in, your neighborhood and your little town, your little city. When you do business with people in your local economy, and when I say local, I mean hyper-local. I mean across the street, I mean down the road and around the corner, and I mean things that the majority of the value add to them occurs locally. So if Bill has an importation business and all his stuff comes from China in a little shop called Bill's Emporium, there's no doubt you're better off shopping there than Walmart. Because Bill's going to put that money in his local bank account. He's going to pay local people, and he's going to build his business locally, right? But all that stuff is still taking money out of the United States into China. But if Tommy has Tommy's Emporium, and Tommy gets with all the local people he can find, and comes up with all types of things people make, furniture, knickknacks, what have you. And his whole thing is Tommy's Emporium is from your neighborhood USA. Now all the money is staying to a degree in your economy. Now money's still going to move out because, Mary is going to work for Tommy. She's going to go down there and run the cash register, and she's going to go buy her groceries somewhere else. And maybe some of that money is going to move out, but a lot more of the money will stay local. So if you want to build the vibrancy of a local economy, the more money you can circulate within the economy, the more powerful that local economy becomes. But there's a bigger thing here. Let's say that I run Jack's Emporium, Jack's Duck Eggs and Farm Produce, because I do run 9 Mile Farm. And every week or every other week, you come to my place and you buy some stuff to feed your family with. Now, the money's really staying here. I'm buying my feed from a Texas company. I'm doing all my production locally. And I'm not sending my money to China. So you are not sending your money to China through me, right? I'm reinvesting and expanding my business. We already covered that. What's the bigger issue, though? What does it say about me to you if you come to my place and do business with me on a regular basis? What it says is you value me. And of course, as a business owner, I think this is something that like a lot of our dumbed down woke generation don't understand. You bet your ass I value you, right? Like I value, because you're paying my bills. Now, what that means is we have 2 people now in this local economy that value each other. Now, let me ask you a question, just a very sincere question. When shit goes sideways, because it does, how many people do you want around you in your local area that value you and that you value back? And a number should be as many as possible, right? As many as possible. Even people that I don't get along with 100%, if we have some sort of value-based relationship, there's a lot better chance we're going to be able to rely on each other. When the grocery stores are out of food, and all of a sudden I'm swamped with people that need food at my little farm, do you think I'm going to sell to them before I sell to you who's been doing business with me when times were good? Absolutely fucking not, right? I'm going to say, look, you know what? If I have surplus, then I can expand my customer base during this time of demand. And if I can build surplus to meet demand, great. But you bet your ass, the first thing I'm going to do is my book of business, my people that have valued me long term, I'm going to be there for them right now. The other side of that is, you bet your ass they're going to be there for me. You don't think they are? Think about it. Now, when I hire a farmhand, which we're not that big anymore, but we used to do, and it's a young man and his parents live down the road, how much do they value me because I'm employing their son? Who by the way, that one of them, he couldn't have got a damn job anywhere else at the time. I'll tell you that. But he learned life skills here that he's, I hope, still using. He learned to deal with a tough-ass sumbitch like me that wouldn't just coddle him when he did something wrong and put a foot in his ass and said, hey, you need to fix this. When he put the wrong fuel in my truck and it cost $680 to get it fixed, I made him pay for it, just like I would any employee. That was a valuable life lesson. And he learned from it, and it benefited him. So now not only do we have the commerce there, but we have the relationship there. And that's the key with doing business locally. It doesn't just keep money circulating in your economy. It builds this relationship between individuals that live in the same proximity with each other. And it's one of the biggest things that we've lost in this country. And I'm telling you, that is by design. That is by design. The people that run the show do not want you spending time talking to your neighbors. You can look at recent events and you can see that very clearly, unless you're so damn brainwashed that I doubt you're listening to me after this many episodes of Miyagi Mornings anyway. They don't want us talking to each other. They don't want us getting past our differences. They don't want us relying on each other, because if I rely on you and you rely on me, who don't we rely on? Them. You want to rebuild small town America across the country. Stop going to Walmart to buy shit that you could buy from Bobby. I didn't say stop going to Walmart. You understand that, right? I didn't say don't ever go to Walmart, don't ever buy from Amazon. What I said was when you have the option, use it. If it's $1 more, it's $1 more. That dollar will stay in your local economy now, and that rising tide absolutely floats all boats. And this requires something else, though, to truly understand it, a fundamental understanding of money. So I'm going to do something today I don't usually do. Today's episode, which is Tuesday, I think the 2nd of March is what today is. Today's episode of Survival Podcast is going to be all about money. It's going to be the truth about money. How money actually works, and why money isn't what you think it is, and they will never teach you in the education system what money really is. Because as soon as you understand it, you now have power and you've taken it from them. You want to know more about that? Check out the episode of the Survival Podcast today. You can find it at thesurvivalpodcast.com. You want to build your local economy? Start a business and start doing business locally. And start doing business with other local merchants. Partner with other local merchants. It is time to reinvigorate the concept of a chamber of commerce, folks. Not the big meetings that they have in these big cities where everybody gets together, self-important, aggrandizing bullshit, and 90% of the people there are either real estate agents or financial liars. No, I'm talking about the kind of chamber of commerce in a small town of a few thousand people. There's a bunch of guys having coffee together at a coffee shop. Oh, I know, they closed a coffee shop. You want the last little piece of advice today? Go to the fucking coffee shop anyway and dare them to do shit about it. With that, I'll catch up to you tomorrow with another episode.